I confess that I don't always know the mind of Joseph. As we continue through our journey going through the book of Genesis, and as we continue specifically in the accounts of Joseph and his relationship with his brothers, we come now to chapter 44. And if you recall, earlier, Joseph ordered that the money that his brothers had brought to buy food be put back in the sacks with their food. I don't know why he did that. He doesn't say what his strategy is. And then when the brothers come back and say, we found this money and here it is again, he doesn't say anything about it. Nothing happens with it. And then, this time, not only does he put the money back in, but he puts his own cup, which is a important symbolic possession, sort of like almost like a scepter in a manner of speaking. He puts that in Benjamin's sack, and again, doesn't tell us why. What is the motive? The best that I can come up with is he wanted an excuse to deal with them some more. It was time for them to go. He maybe wasn't ready yet to reveal who he was. Wasn't sure what to do. So maybe he thought, well, this will bring them back. Maybe he puts the money back in there because he doesn't want their money. He wants to bless them. Maybe he puts the cup in there because, well, it gives him an opportunity anyway if he so decides to call them back. And so he does. Now, as strange as it may seem, while I am willing to confess that I don't know the mind of David, I'm going to at least offer up a theory into why God would ordain that Joseph would do this. Why would God have this happen? Well, it may be simply because, for this reason. This may be one of the earliest clear illustrations of the principle of substitutionary atonement that we have in the whole of the Bible. If you remember, as we've been going through Genesis, we came to Genesis chapter 3, and we looked at Genesis 3:15, and God's promise to the serpent, his curse on the serpent: I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and her seed, and you will bruise his heel, and he will crush your head. We called this the proto-gospel, the gospel in its least developed, least clear form. Nevertheless, that's precisely what it is. It's the promise of the good news of the deliverance that the seed of the woman will give us from our sins. And we talked as well at the end of chapter 3, when the Father drives Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, he takes from them their handmade fig leaf coverings and gives them animal skins. And we suggested that we're not, again, certain of it, but we suggested that it's just possible that this was designed to communicate to them this principle that without the shedding of blood there is no sin, that these animals were, in a manner of speaking, a substitute for them. But here, now, in this account, we have the offering of a human substitute. Of course, in between, we had Abraham and Isaac, and God will provide the lamb and the ram in the thicket, and that substitute. But here we have the first offering of a human substitute, because, of course, the punishment that had been agreed upon for, when the brothers are overtaken by the steward of Joseph, and they're saying, we don't have your stuff. We promise we don't have your stuff. If we do, you can kill whoever took it and make the rest of us your slaves. And then there it is found in Benjamin's sack. And the steward is like, no, I'm not going to make you all slaves. I'm not going to kill Benjamin, but I am going to have him be a slave. And they all trudge back. I don't know how far they got, but they all trudge back and appear once again before Joseph. And Joseph rebukes them. And, they again are saying, we had no intention to do anything like this. We had brought the money back before. You know how we've handled things. Not sure what happened here. But we all agree that we would be your slave, that you could kill the boy if this is what happened. And Joseph, agreeing with the steward, says, no, that's not the plan. I'm just going to keep your brother Benjamin here. So then what? Well, that's the place when Judah steps forward. And Judah says to his brother, not knowing that it's his brother, he says to Joseph, hey, can we talk? You and I, we need to have a conversation, because I don't know that you understand the implications of what you're suggesting. Let me explain it to you. And then he rehearses the whole account of what's gone on and mentions the brother who is already dead, and talks about his father's affection for Benjamin. Now, remember, once again, last time we were together, we talked about the progress, the sanctification of these brothers. And we talked about the possibility, and in fact, the possibility that might have been in Jacob's own mind, that, hey, these sons of mine are plotting to take over. They want to get rid of my dear wife's children. They've already we've lost Joseph. Now they're trying to get rid of Benjamin. That's what this is all about. If that was, in fact, what was going on in these brothers' minds, well, here's their golden opportunity. They can go back without Benjamin, and they can say, look, Dad, I promised you I would take care of him. But your little Benjamin has got some sticky fingers, and he seems to not even care who he steals from, because lo and behold, we got going, and they stopped us, and there was the head guy in the Pharaoh's kingdom. His cup was in your son's bag. What do you want me to do? Well, it's not what Judah does. Judah comes and says, if you do this, you'll kill my dad. If you do this, you will kill my sons. You need to understand, you didn't want to kill all of us. You didn't want to kill Benjamin and enslave all of us. But if you do this, you're going to kill not us, not Benjamin. You're going to kill Benjamin's father and Benjamin's nephews, my children. You don't want to do this. I understand the scope of the crime. I understand the depth of the crime. I understand that justice requires the punishment. So here's what I would like to suggest. Make me your slave. That way you still get a slave. That way there's still punishment. That way justice is still done. No one's taking advantage of you. No one's getting over on you. You'll have your servant, and everyone will know, hey, this guy's family stole from Pharaoh's right-hand man, and now look at him, he's a slave. Your dignity will be protected. Your honor will be protected. Your justice will be protected. But my father and my sons will live, and Benjamin will live free. Let's do it that way. What do you say? Let's arrange things so that my brother, my younger brother, can return home, and my father will not die in sorrow and sadness. That's what Jesus does for us. You understand that? Again, this is what I'm saying. This is a picture, a powerful picture, a clearer picture of substitutionary atonement. Earlier today I was working on a book I've been writing that is an attempt to introduce Blaise Pascal's pensées to kids in their teens, which is quite a challenge because the whole reason Pascal's pensées are called the pensées is because they are disjointed, scribbled thoughts. It's as if Pascal walked through his days with a pile of 3x5 cards, and when an interesting thought came to him, he scribbled something down on these 3x5 cards, and then before he could put the book together, he died, and someone just took those 3x5 cards and sort of strung them together. That's what this book is. But this particular section that I was dealing with today dealt with the subject of typology. And to his credit, Pascal did warn against going too far with typology, recognizing and affirming that there are some folks who see things in the text that just aren't there, that they come out of the imagination of the reader, that they're eisegesis rather than exegesis. But he goes on and makes the case for the legitimacy of typology and the case that this is a good apologetical tool to help us to see how all the promises of God have come to pass. He tells us that God is telling the truth. He's giving us history, but he's also telling us a story. And then he illustrated it, and it was just wonderful. It's something we're not going to get to because it's outside the scope of Genesis, but I'm going to mention it because I think it fits with where we are. He takes us, Pascal does, to the account in Exodus of that time when Moses, having been raised in Pharaoh's court, having been in a position of power and privilege and prestige, he decides to go and visit with his people, the people that he was born into. And as he goes to explore what's going on with the Hebrews, he comes upon a scene where an Egyptian taskmaster is beating a Hebrew slave, and Moses takes matters into his own hands and kills the Hebrew taskmaster and then tries to bury him in the sand after making sure no one was watching. Well, the text goes on and says, well, the next day he was out looking again, and now there are two Hebrews arguing and bickering with each other, and Moses enters in to try and bring peace into this situation, and rather than being grateful for this, these two Hebrews start taunting him and saying to him, who made you a ruler over us, and what in the world? You're going to kill us and bury us too like we saw you do yesterday? And of course, at this point, Moses realizes he was seen in what happened, and now he flees. And as I was writing, I said, for all of my life, from the first time I read that story, my assumption was that this story is in here maybe to show us a little bit of Moses' compassion, but mostly it was to explain, to move Moses as this character who's in this privileged position, to move him out of that position, to get him out into the Midianite wilderness where he would come across the burning bush. That it was an event that God brought to pass to further the story along and get Moses to the right place. But Pascal pointed out something I'd never considered. He said, this is not just a type of Christ. This is a type of Moses himself. This is a foreshadowing. Do we ever have another circumstance where, I don't know, Moses is used to help the Hebrews who are being oppressed by Egyptians to get away from that oppression? Oh, yeah, the whole Exodus. That's just like that. And do we have any situations after that where the Hebrews that he was used by God to rescue turned their back on his leadership and grumbled and complained against him? Oh, yeah, the whole book of Exodus. What you have in this little story is the rest of the book written small. Now again, I say all this to help us recognize that we have here in this story a gospel account. Now don't misunderstand. I'm not saying Judah is the greatest guy in the world. I'm not saying he's not going to have sin issues moving forward, and we know he certainly had sin issues prior to this. But it's a picture. It's a reminder. It's a demonstration of what it is that Jesus has done for us. Only our problem is not that we stole the cup of the second in command of the nation. Our problem is we have sought to overthrow not the number 2 man, but the number 1 man, not of a nation, not of the planet, but of the whole universe. And we're under judgment. And Jesus, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, becomes our substitute. He receives the punishment that is due to us in accordance with justice. And we, like Benjamin, are set free. What's going to happen after this? Well, that's the next chapter. But I'll give you a hint. There's going to be a lot of loving and kissing and rejoicing and celebrating, and there's going to be reconciliation. You know, it's true that Joseph does very well, and that Joseph himself is a type of Christ. But do not lose sight of this fact, that this ending of the hostilities, this ending of the deceit, this reconciliation, this bringing the family back together again, only happens after Judah offers to take the place of his younger brother. After he offers to receive the punishment that was due to his younger brother. Friends, we're almost finished with the book of Genesis. And I am sure that the other commentaries on other books of the Bible that are carried at Exposit the Word are well curated, well done. I know many of the men who have provided these teachings, and I have great confidence in them. But I want to tell you, if you are going to keep going, and I hope you will, just keep going through the whole Bible, I want you to keep looking for these kinds of moments. These old covenant types, these pictures, it's almost like a reverse transfiguration. And in the New Testament, we have these great heroes from the Old Testament, Elijah and Moses appearing with Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration and the glory shining forth. Well, this is the gospel glory shining forth in an Old Testament context. The point is not, please understand, to have the joy of decoding, of being an expert at finding symbols and patting yourself on the back. The point is to rejoice and to celebrate the work of Jesus for us. Remember, as we were going through these texts, we need to remember, we're the ones that are in trouble. We're the ones who are the sinners. We're the ones who need to be rescued. And every time we see a rescue, our mind needs to turn to our hero, to our king, to our elder brother, Jesus Christ of Nazareth.